Hi, guys. Welcome back to Sports with Mono and Mono. It's September 13th, 2025. And of course, I'm here with Elijah Weintraub, my co host. Eli, how are you?
Well, happy Saturday. It was definitely a great week for football, a crazy week overall in our society. But overall, though, we have a great weather weekend down here in Jersey. It's great football weather. We have
It
great
is.
games coming up, and we have a lot of sports to talk about, not just football related, in baseball and women's basketball. And what way to kick it off better than the monologue sponsored by Coriano Trucking of Summer Hill, New York? And Jim, take it away.
Yes. And Eli, like I said, we're here. We talk about sports, we talk about entertainment, we talk about a lot of things, but it really was a difficult week for our nation, first and foremost. Thursday was the 24th anniversary of one of the most devastating events, and certainly in my lifetime. And obviously, you weren't here for that, but you saw enough of it to know how devastating it was. And I just wanted
Absolutely.
to make sure that we send all of our thoughts and wishes to the families that were affected by it. I knew people um, that I lost, that day, and the effects were just, devastating for forever, and it still is. But it was the 24th, and it'll almost be a quarter century next year that that tragic event happened. So I just wanted to make sure our fans know that yes, we sit here and we talk about sports, and it's kind of an outlet for us, and I think it's a great outlet. But yeah, we're living in a crazy world, and yes, there was an event that happened this week, and but the basis of all of this stuff, it's the right of people to have freedom of speech, and freedom of speech is something that's protected, and it applies to everybody. But when it resorts to violence, you have to start to wonder, how much evil is in the world and so forth. So, not this has no political ramifications. It was just a tragic event to see, and a lot of people saw it in person. And like I said, our hearts go out to the family of Charlie Kirk and whatnot, and it happens time and time again. And like I said, we're here to talk about sports, and we're going to jump right into that. But again, we are our show values the freedom of speech, and everybody has a right to it. So don't not use that right, but just do not resort to violence. It's just a horrible, horrible thing, and I think we're better as a nation than that, and I hope it starts to right the ship, if you will. So anyway,
Absolutely. And of course, 9/11 is just one of the most horrific things that's definitely happened to our country in a long time that I could recall. The stories you hear from people, both that were there, that didn't go to work that day. It is just an amazing story to just see and hear about. And it really is it gives you chills every time watching it. It really
but
does. And the whole shooting this week down in Utah, it is another tragedy. Once
yeah,
again, gun violence is never the answer, but it's unfortunately
yeah,
happening more common and often than usual, and it shouldn't be happening. And it's very just horrible to see. And of course, our thoughts and prayers
it
to
isn't.
both
It shouldn't
Charlie
be,
and those affected in
but
9/11
like
and their families.
and that's really how we feel. It puts a little bit of what we're going about to talk about into perspective. So Eli, let's jump right into it. And yes,
Yeah,
we are in the heart of one of the busiest times of the sports year, right?
absolutely.
We're down at the Major League Baseball home stretch, 15 games or less left. Obviously, the football season has started, and we'll get into some of the
The
uh,
fun that happened, right?
yeah, the fun that happened. Not if you were a Giants fan, it wasn't fun at all. It
Well,
was
why
some
don't
of
we
the
just go ahead and
simple
just
things.
start talking about it? Because that's what I think our audience wants to hear
All
the
right.
most about the NFL. Uh, well, if you're, I want to ask you, Jim, before we go anywhere else. Did you fall asleep watching the Ravens Bills game, and did you see the end of it? What did you?
I did not honestly stay up for the game. I was out by then. But it really was an awesome
That
football
was
game, and we're developing this Bills Ravens rivalry now that's really exciting to see. And it was so funny because, a lot of people left that stadium and they weren't around. These are diehard
Nope.
Bills fans,
They
and they
stuck to
walked
the
out of
end.
the stadium and there was people trying to get back into the stadium. And, once you leave, you're gone.
You can't
So,
go back.
wow,
But
what a great football game it
that
was.
was a great game, and I'll be quite honest with you. I saw the score, and I'm like, all right, let's check out the VMAs. And I'll be quite honest here. I did check out the VMAs because I couldn't see. I didn't want to watch the rest of the game because I knew that it was going to be a blowout. The Ravens were going to win. I knocked out. I didn't see the end of it. And then all of a sudden, they come back from behind. 4 minutes left, 16 points out. I'm like, what did I just see? Did I just fall asleep at the wrong time? Like, and it was crazy that game. But hey, bottom line is if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, you're part of a lot of history because you create great matchups every day between Baltimore, Cincinnati when they were at their prime, and definitely Kansas City. And it all centers around Buffalo. And it really is amazing to see. And what an ending to week one and the final time in that stadium. Like, isn't that awesome? What an ending that was. Like
Oh, it's
I couldn't believe it. And that wasn't just the only comeback from behind game. The Vikings game on Monday night, which didn't seem like the best game on the menu, turned out to be a pretty good game. And it was another comeback. And the Vikings took care of business there, 27-24, the final.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching the game and I saw it for through first three quarters. I said, this is the Chicago Bears night. Williams looked pretty decent, and the pick six by McCarthy. Listen, that's a rookie mistake. He knows it. You
100%.
learn from stuff like that, and yeah, it was it was
The-
an exciting week. And let's go
let's go to
through
the
it now.
Giants and Jets now. I think we got to talk about more about them now.
Okay. Well, we're going
Well,
to talk about the Jets and the Giants. I think we had a comment from
yes, we did,
Brendan
and I want to
Dunn.
get to that real quick.
Yep.
Brandon said Wilson's ceiling with the Giants team is no better than a .500 finish. Play Dart. Dable had the same plan for Josh Allen, and he started week two. Let's go Dart.
Yes. And I certainly agree with Brendan on that. And listen, I was a Russell Wilson fan for years. The guy was absolutely a winner, but he's definitely not the same player. But
No,
when you look at the Giants overall, and yes, they have improved their defense, but we knew Russell Wilson was a stopgap kind of thing. They're very high on Jackson Dart, and I agree that Russell Wilson is not going to take the Giants to the playoffs.
no,
But it's clearly evident that the offensive line that we've been talking about for 10 years can't protect Russell Wilson. And now the difference is Russell Wilson's not he doesn't have the same mobility, he doesn't have the
right.
same arm strength. And the debate here is, do you go right away with Jackson Dart and say, listen, we're not going to go to the playoffs either way, but you do risk getting him injured with an inferior offensive line, and that's the concern. So if they do make this switch, which I hope that they do, I kind of thought it would be around week 4, maybe week 5 if the Giants started 1-4 or 2-3. But yeah, I think it may be time to just make that move. And yeah, you run the risk of him getting hurt, but he's mobile. He's got a strong arm. So yeah, I think it's going to be that time. And the Giants, they're going into Dallas this week, and they don't play well in Dallas. I don't think they beat
As
Dallas
we know,
in 5 years. So
but
that's a great debate for the Giants. But it was just an extremely disappointing performance against the Commanders.
well, that is one thing for sure. But again, one big thing too is yes, Russell Wilson, his performance level was not fantastic and wasn't great at all. But at the same time, too, is the offensive line is a big problem on this New York Giants team. And if they can't protect the quarterback, what happens when you have a young player like Dart that comes into play?
Yeah,
That's a big question. And I've been saying all along, yes, they need to start Dart because clearly Russell Wilson isn't the answer. He went to 3 different teams from Seattle. He went to Denver. He went to Pittsburgh. And now he's at the Giants, and yet he's still not doing magic. That is a sign right there that Dart needs to start. And he played great, I thought, in the preseason. I thought that Dart should be the one starting. But again, a key issue that we have in the Giants is the offensive line. And that's a big issue and why I think Dart is not starting as sooner as we expect. And I think they got to change that first before anything else.
And Eli, I just still can't understand why the Giants can't, I was a big John Michael Schmitz fan. He came out of college, he was the first center taken, but I'm starting to think, no, this isn't working out. And you
No,
you need an anchor at center to start the whole thing. And right now it's just not happening. And
but
yeah,
you know
I
what?
think Eli, Brian Dable's job is clearly on the line. Just as it and
1,000%.
it's Shane and Dable. They're either going to succeed together or they're going to get fired together. But the season, like you said, it's only week one, and there's a long way to go. But if you start to see the trend, if this starts to continue, then you have to make that move, because I've always believed, yes, a guy can learn only so much by watching the game. You develop as a player by playing the game. And this was your number one draft pick. And you know what? I think it's time to make that move. And I hope they do
And
sooner
you
than
know what
later.
though? And you're right about Dable and Shane and everybody who is on that team that's in jeopardy right now. Because you look at a player that they once had like Daniel Jones, he just went to Indianapolis and he put out a show. He put out a show. The final score versus the Colts 33-8. Now, yes, they played the Miami Dolphins. That is no question. But they also play the Denver Broncos tomorrow. And if he plays pretty good and gets them close to a victory or even a victory in itself, then the Giants have to question something. What's going on with management and what's going on with the rest of the team that they're not realizing when you have a guy like Daniel Jones that just put out a fantastic week one performance and has the potential to put out another week two performance very well as well.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because I was happy. I've been a Daniel Jones supporter, and
100%.
he got absolutely destroyed as the quarterback for the Giants. And yeah, he made some bad decisions on his own
100%.
too, but that was development. But I was delighted, and I know your co-host for the 12th Horseshoe couldn't have been happier.
100%. I
And,
mean, I
and
was
I'm
too.
sure, but I'm sure he was counting on Anthony Richardson and not Daniel Jones to be the quarterback.
100%.
But they made a great decision, because I don't think
No,
Richardson is going to make it in this league.
no. And he
Um,
wouldn't got them a win in week one. That's for sure. If
yeah,
Richardson
so
was a starting quarterback, I would have think that the Dolphins would have got their win, even though they shouldn't got the win. And that's the
that
bottom
was
line.
that was just a great win for Daniel Jones. And like I said, as a person, um, he's athletic. He's a great
You're
kid,
happy for him. Absolutely. I am too.
intelligent. So that was great. And yeah, the
Yeah.
Miami Dolphins. We had Kevin Jager on, right,
Right.
last
Of
month
course.
and stuff. Diehard Dolphins fan, and even he's going, I don't know what's going on down there.
Yeah.
3 years ago, Mike McDaniel was the darling of the National Football League head coaches, and now they're calling for his head. So the
Well, that's
lifespan
also
of
on
an
a fact of
NFL
Tua
coach.
Tagovailoa as well. I mean, you can't trust him too long either. I mean, he wasn't playing as great either. He's now a concussion away, as we've been saying all this time.
Yep.
It's another question. But now
And,
another team. Let's focus on real quick. The New York Jets. The New
yes,
York Jets played pretty good football, even though they lost that game. And
they
I think
did.
that if you're a Jets fan, you got to keep your head up high, because even though you lost by 2 points to Aaron Rodgers, the Steelers didn't exactly play fantastic. Where it's like, okay, yep, that's great. Here we go. The Jets played good Jets football where they have some potential. Now they have a tough competition this week versus the Bills. I'm not saying they're going to get a win out of this, the Jets, the Bills this weekend, but you got to have some hope with this Jets team that there is some potential this season.
And it was really good to see for me, because I like Justin Fields. And yeah, he didn't make it in Chicago. I don't know why. I mean, the team wasn't as good, but now they got a good offensive coach, and that's going to help Caleb Williams. Um, but Justin Fields, he's a tough kid, and I will give credit to Aaron Glenn for putting out that team out there and giving them a chance to win. And yeah, it could be the old saying, the old same old Jets, that they find a way to lose, and you can't get away from that stigma. But they did play well, and but I don't think they're going to beat the Bills this week.
No, I
So,
don't think so either. But their season does look promising, minus the Bills game this weekend. I mean, they do show a lot of potential. That's for sure.
yep. But I'm
What
glad
else?
that Glad that you brought up the Daniel Jones thing because that was great to
That
see.
Dino it was one of the biggest stories in my opinion, and especially if you're a Giants fan looking out how this performance went this weekend, there's a lot of question. But the Commanders too is what I want to go to next. Another team from the NFC East because they won their game against the Giants 21-6, but on Thursday night they suffered an injury with Eckler, who suffered an Achilles injury during that game, and they did not
Yep.
play their best football. They lost 27-18 against the Packers team, which is, by the way, right now the best team in the NFC for sure. You can argue that one. We'll talk about the Packers in a second, but the Commanders, there's got to be some questions going on right there because if they couldn't win a game against the Packers or put up a closer margin of a score, then you got to question what goes on the rest of the season. And you look at this Philadelphia team, they're going into Kansas City pretty hot right now, looking to get another win.
Yeah. Well, as far as Washington goes, listen, I do believe that Jaden Daniels has an enormous amount of potential. I really like his leadership. And again, yeah, they went into a tough, road game against Jordan Love, who's playing outstanding football. And by the way, I did like those white uniforms that the
Yeah, they did.
Packers
That was
had.
really good. Yeah.
It looked pretty cool. But Washington will be okay. I mean, and again, it's going to be between them and Philadelphia to win the division because we went over our predictions. So
Right. And
I'm
then you
not
look at
worried. I'm not worried much about the Redskins. It's with the Redskins, the
Commanders.
Yeah,
Although they want to go back. Tom Pugh comments before I get to the Packers. Aaron looked pretty good.
he did look pretty good. And
Yeah.
Tom was texting me during the game, root for the old guy, and I said, "Well, I can't root for him." So
You got to root
nothing I
for the
can
New
do.
York home team.
And I know that Tom Pugh is very, very happy today because his Indiana Hoosiers
Well, that
played
was a great game in itself last night. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But,
yeah, I know.
before we go to
73 to nothing. That was pretty good.
Before we go to our picks, let's talk about the Packers real quick. I think they are the best team right now in the NFC. You could maybe argue the entire league, but for the NFC right now, they looked really good for the past two games versus the Commanders and last week versus the Lions. And I think a big addition is Micah Parsons.
Well, let me ask you that. Let me ask you that question directly. Would you have said that the Packers are one of the best teams and the favorite to win the NFC if they didn't have Micah Parsons?
Yes, 1000%. I would
Really?
absolutely argue that one. To say they were in the top two with Philadelphia, absolutely. I would argue that one. Absolutely. And the
Okay.
reason why I say that is because you look at Detroit. Detroit isn't the team that it once was. Minnesota right now, if you look in that division, is in a growing stage. They're going to get some wins here and there. And then you got Chicago lying around. In my
Yeah.
opinion, I think on paper, the Packers look like the team that were going to win the division regardless if they had Parsons or not. And they look like the best team that we're going to end up in the top four in the NFC standings.
Mm. That's interesting. That's an interesting take. Is yeah, I knew the Packers and Love is definitely developing into a top-notch quarterback, which is a little vindication for the Packers front office by taking him while they still had Aaron Rodgers. So that was, but you
Yeah,
had to look to the future. But yeah,
which
they
is a
do
good
look
choice.
pretty good. They do
You
look
did.
good.
Two other notes I want to get to before we make our picks. The 49ers are battling a ton of injuries. You have Brock Purdy is going to schedule to miss 2 to 5 weeks due to a turf toe injury. George Kittle is placed on injured reserve due to a hamstring injury. This 49ers team that looked pretty good against Seattle last week is now in jeopardy with a lot of injuries, and they play the Saints this weekend, and that can go a lot of ways, as we know, especially week 2 with the Saints. Always that wishy-washy team week 2.
Yeah. And again, we did have a comment from Brendan again, and that's I'm actually on the same train of thought with Brendan that, I know they got Micah Parsons, but I have to see were they this team the favorites? Could they knock off Philadelphia? Could they, be the quote unquote one of the favorites? It's a little early to tell, but right now it's looking pretty good, and having Parsons on the team doesn't hurt at all either.
No. And Jalen Carter, I'm just disappointed at what the NFL has decided to fine him with. I mean, $57,222. Did we just pick up numbers from a lottery pinball machine and just say, okay, the next one's a 2, a 5, and that's what we're finding 57,222? Like, what are we doing here? And the
Well,
second point is only a 1 game suspension already served. You kidding me? He played 6 seconds of the game. Go ahead, bench him for the next game. That doesn't count to me.
Exactly. And actually, it was in my random points of interest because I'm appalled at the NFL for taking such a light stance. $57,000 to a guy making 25, $30 million a
Hundred
year
percent.
is nothing.
And if you do
And
something else that's so little, you get paid. You're fined more money than that.
and I was expecting the NFL to really come down with like a 4-game suspension or
Right.
something to that effect. And basically, they said a 1-game suspension, which was already served. No, that game, you got kicked out. Now, if you want to have a 1-game suspension, you miss the
Miss the
next game.
Chiefs game. That's it.
That was really
A
a
joke.
stunner. That was
Because what does that tell you? That means anybody who's on that NFL field can be like, okay, well, if I just spit on a guy, it's only $57,000, and I could just leave the game early, and that counts as my
yep,
1-game suspension. Now
yep.
everybody is thinking mentally that okay, this is my new mindset. This now I can do this because it's only $57,000 on a 1-game suspension because that's
Yeah.
just how the NFL is taking it, which I thought was a joke. They should be he should be have more games than one. And to be
Oh,
considering that that's served already as a joke, and 57,222. Did you pick out the numbers from a lottery pinball machine? That's what I want to know. Because
I
where'd you
don't
get
know.
that number from?
That number had to have been some sort of a calculation on the percentage of his salary or something. I don't know, but yeah, the NFL missed the boat because this is going to happen again, and
100%.
they're going to have to, if they're going to be consistent, they have to do it. They'll do the same penalty, and it's going to open the door for unsportsmanlike behavior like that, which is absolutely crossed the line.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Well, with
Uh,
that, let's go into the picks and let's take a look at that wonderful standings chart that Jim has been holding up the entire show to bring up. And look who's got the crown. It's an honor to get that crown. The standings 4-1 and 2-3 for Jim. Good luck with week 2, and hopefully I can keep the crown.
Okay. Well, listen, first of all, I'll give you kudos. You did pick 3 good games. You did pick Pittsburgh, you did pick Green Bay, and you did pick Buffalo. So that's a 3-0 record you should be proud of. My 3 games were Pittsburgh, which we both got right, but I expected a little bit more from Detroit, and maybe they are going to feel the loss of Ben Johnson as the offensive coordinator because he had great chemistry. But when you look at it, uh, sick over it, sick over it.
All right. Maybe next
But
week we'll
it's
get the
only
crown,
1 week, Eli. There's a
I know
long
one
way
week,
to
but I want
go.
to keep the crown. It's mine now, not yours. And Tom, thank you for the comments for saying go Eli, and I see the trend here. But let's keep that crown in mind.
Yeah.
But let's get into the picks. We have 3 games different that we're going to be picking. And Jim, I'll let you start off first. Who are your 3 games? What are your 3
Okay.
games?
Redemption week for me. Here we go.
Oh,
So,
cupcake games.
game 1 for me, Jacksonville and Cincinnati. And we did touch base on Cincinnati, always notoriously having a slow start and so forth. And then they mature as a team down the road. But I think the passion in Joe Burrow, he wants that Super Bowl. So I really, and my thoughts on Trevor Lawrence. I don't think he's that top flight quarterback, even though he's getting paid as such. But I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals to win this game. And this is going to be, like I said, a lot of people are already writing the Chiefs off and so forth, but do not write off Patrick Mahomes. The guy's only 29 years old, but I do believe that Joe Burrow is one of those elite quarterbacks. He's got a lot of weapons with him, and I'm going to take Cincinnati in my pick 1. And game 2, Atlanta at Minnesota. And again, let's not pop champagne bottles just yet for JJ McCarthy. He's still a young kid and so forth. And you saw that with the pick 6. But you also saw a little bit of fire and resiliency. And this kid comes from good stock. He's a national championship winner in college football. He was a state championship winner. So he hadn't lost a game in a long time. And he showed a little bit of maturity and the confidence that Justin Jefferson showed in him and gave him credit for that win after the game was really good. And I'm a big fan of Justin Jefferson now. I told you when I saw that documentary on him, He's flamboyant, and sometimes people would say cocky, but he is the best receiver in the game, and he likes this quarterback. So I'm going to take Minnesota. I'm not a big Atlanta guy. I'm still not 100% sold on Penix. I know he's athletic and he's got some weapons now. I mean, Jake London is out, but I don't think he's mature enough right now to win a kind of game like this on the road against a really good Vikings defense. So I'm going to take Minnesota in my game too.
All right.
And the third game, and again, I just brought it up before, Kansas City. A lot of people writing them off, and it's really, yes, they have kind of a thin wide receiver core, but I fully expect Travis Kelce to have a big year with Mahomes, and I think
Taylor,
they're going to stay in the mix. And yes, they're playing Philadelphia, who right now, they're the champions of the league, and until somebody knocks them off, they carry that title for the next 16 weeks. But I still have a lot of confidence in Patrick Mahomes, and I'm going to take them to beat the Philadelphia Eagles in my game 3.
All right. Here we go. My 3 games. I'm going to go with the entire 4 o'clock window. Those are the 3 games I'm going to be sticking with: the Cardinals and the Panthers. I mean, I want to keep the streak going. I got to go with that game, but I'm going to go with the Cardinals to win that game 28-18. It was my survivor pick for the week. I got a lot of confidence in Arizona. They played pretty good last week. I'm going to keep with them. You have the Broncos.
All right, give me that first one again. Give me the first one. Arizona, who?
Carolina. Carolina.
Where's that game?
That's in Arizona, and I'm taking Arizona.
Yeah, Carolina is not a good football team.
No.
Okay.
Next one, Broncos Colts. Now, this is an interesting game because you have a potential here where Daniel Jones and Indianapolis Colts can do something magical. And on the other hand, you have the Denver Broncos where they're going to try to keep the win streak going, even though there was a tough game last week versus Tennessee for them, which it shouldn't have been, and a close game that it shouldn't have. But I'm going to rely.
That game?
Where's that game, Indianapolis. And I have a lot of faith in Denver, but I think it'll be close. So I'm going to go with Denver to win this one 24-22.
Okay.
And the last one, the biggest game of the week, Philadelphia at Kansas City. The rumor is you should never bet against Patrick Mahomes. But last week, he disappointed me. But in Philadelphia, amazed me, even without Jalen Carter. You got Jalen Carter back, and as long as he doesn't make a dumb decision again, Philadelphia looks like a great team to watch out for. And I know Taylor Swift's there, but I'm going to go with Philadelphia to win this game 32-28. Some of my picks are Philadelphia, Arizona, and Broncos. Jim's got Bengals, Vikings, and the Chiefs. Good luck, and let the crown stay with me.
You know what? I feel like it's moving day on a Saturday at the Masters. That if the hole gets too deep, it's hard to recover. So I think I'm going to have a stellar week. I think I'm going to get back into the mix with my co-host here.
All right.
Because I want that crown. I want to keep that crown.
All right. Well, we got a couple comments. Tom Pugh says revenge game for the Chiefs home opener. Say no, Eli. Go Chiefs. And Brandon says Chiefs home dog. Let's go.
Hey, listen, you got a big fan in Tom Pugh. I don't know if he dislikes me or he just likes you so much. I don't know, but I hope.
But appreciate all the comments, by the way. Appreciate all the comments, everybody. Keep on commenting. We really appreciate it. But hey,
no doubt.
You never know. It's early week 2. I could see Patrick Mahomes going 0-2. Maybe.
Well,
have to wait and see.
Said. All right, Eli. Good. We covered the NFL, so let's
go to college football.
Yeah, this is after a kind of a slow week last week. There wasn't many big games, but this is week 3 or week 3, right?
Yeah, it's technically week 3, even though we had a 0.
Right. So, this is a big game for Notre Dame this week. They need to win, but they're playing a tough Texas A&M team. So that's not a given. But I do like CJ Carr, and I like Notre Dame at home. But here's, I think, what the game and college game day is in Knoxville, Tennessee for the
Which is a great game.
Yeah, it's a great game. I have that on my list.
I have a couple games, too, on my list for the best games of the day.
Yep, I got Florida at LSU. Now, Florida.
That's 7:30. Yeah, I got that one.
But you know what, Eli? There was an same similar event in the Florida game, a spitting incident,
Yep.
which
Once
cost
again.
Florida 15 points and gave the South Florida team. I mean, what they? It was South Florida. Yeah, I think it was South Florida, and they won. So South Florida's 2-0, but that was a big penalty that cost Florida the game. So I still think they're a viable team, but I don't think they're good enough to beat LSU.
Yeah.
And the other game, we're talking about the South Florida, University of South Florida, they're 2-0, but they're going up against Miami. So I think they're
Yeah,
going
it's
to
a
come
great
back to
game.
reality.
That's on the CW, by the way, which is Pix 11 for us.
Yeah, so that's on paper it looks like a good game.
Right.
But Miami, I think they are for real. If Carson Beck has the kind of year that he started off having, that should be a good one. And there's
Yeah.
another big game, Eli, Clemson and Georgia Tech.
Which is
And
another
like
good one.
this is a big game because Clemson didn't play well in their first game, and
Right.
is Dabo Sweeney on the hot seat like Billy Napier from Florida? No, absolutely not. But this is a big game, and Georgia Tech plays very well against those kind of teams, and they're a legitimate team. We talked about sleepers last week. I think they got to be put into that category as a team to be reckoned with. So, but they're going up against Clemson, so let's see how they fare this week. And I think another good game is Ole Miss and Arkansas. And I know I have a friend of mine who lives down in Arkansas, a big Hogs fan. I just don't know that, Ole Miss seems like a pretty good team. They really started to come around, and yeah, they're going to miss Jackson Dart, but I think they can handle Arkansas in a very close game. So we got a really cool, slate of college games, and Georgia.
And there's two other ones I want to bring up real quick. Oregon Northwestern at 12 o'clock. That's going to be an interesting game for sure. I mean, Northwestern was one of the top 4 teams just a couple years ago in Oregon too. So watch out for that game. That'll be pretty good. And tonight, NBC at 7:30, Notre Dame and Texas A&M. I'm looking for that one to be a great game too on the menu. Notre Dame's a good team. Texas A&M, they're in the mix.
Yeah.
Watch out for that one. Brendan says Haynes Kings stayed out last week for Chi. Watch him today.
Yeah, so that's the Georgia Tech team, and I do believe in them. I think they're gonna do very well against Clemson in a very tight game. However,
and the other one I want to bring up in college football, Indiana, 73 points last night. What a game for them! If you went to that game, you weren't bored, that's for sure.
Well, you could see that. I could actually see the smile on Tom Pugh, who's an Indiana graduate, but playing Indiana State, it wasn't, I mean, that was kind of a cupcake game. They're not actually known for sports, but yeah. And Brendan keeps bringing up this guy, Ben Arbuckle, Oklahoma University offensive coordinator. And I know, Brendan, we're going to keep an eye on this. He believes he's going to be a head coach at some point down the road, but let's see. Oklahoma did look pretty impressive last week, I must say.
All right. And we also had another comment. We had Tom says USC at Purdue at 2:30 is an interesting game. And
that's a good game.
Hey, the Hick from French Lick.
Yeah, well, that's Larry Bird, of course, we know. But USC is not the team that they once were, but I don't think Purdue is really much of a threat anyway. So that could be, I guess, considered an upset if they go into Purdue and win that game, because USC is not a top-notch team, first year in the Big Ten, etc.
Well, I think with that, let's head over to baseball. And with the Yankees, they got some presidential luck, I guess you could say. President Trump was in attendance at the game, and you could argue maybe that's the luck that they needed coming out after what seemed to be like a rough stretch of almost 23 points gone within a couple games. And you got the Mets, who I guess just want to miss the playoffs at this point. I mean, it's kind of sad.
There's a tale of two cities there, so to speak, because I think the Yankees are going to be okay. They're hanging in there. They're only 3 games behind Toronto right now. Judge is heating up, hitting home runs, and yes, he just passed Yogi Berra and Joe DiMaggio for most on the all-time home runs. I know where you're going.
Love it.
That
Fantastic. What about the postseason?
all
I'm gonna
right.
get a
Well,
shirt. I'm gonna buy a shirt that says, "What about the postseason?"
okay. Well, we're gonna see, but they're gonna make the playoffs now. As far as the Mets go, I mean, obviously the division is out of reach.
Right.
But there's still a lot of weak teams that they have to edge out. I think the Mets with this couple of young new pitchers, McLean being one of them, Soto starting to hit and so forth. So I think the Mets are going to make it to the playoffs. But yeah,
Right.
if you're a Met fan, you're going, oh my goodness, one of the highest payrolls, or you paid one guy $700 million as if he was going to carry the team on his back. But between him and Alonso, yeah, they're not going to win the division, but I fully expect them to hang in there for the last 15 games of the season to get into the postseason. Now, Eli, I had a conversation. So, is there still a one-game wild card play-in,
I
or is it
believe
come?
it's a best of 3 series, and I believe it's 3 games. I don't know about the
Is
play-in
it three
part.
now? Okay.
The wild
Yeah,
card, I
there
know
used
is
to be
wild
a
card is
one
multiple.
game play in.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah,
about the
it's three in
play-in
each
part.
league.
I don't know about the play-in part, but I know that the
Yeah.
wild card is best of 3 games. Uh,
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I'm
We'll
not sure
see.
about the other one, but yeah, we'll
But
take a look
yeah,
at that. We're
look at
2
the
weeks away
other
from the season
divisions.
concluding.
Right. And look at some of the things that are already decided, right? Obviously, Detroit is going to win their division. That's the weakest division, I think. But Tarek Skubal got hurt. I don't know how severe that is. That's um, that's going to be an interesting thing to keep an eye on. But the American League West, that's one of the closest divisions. You still have Seattle, you still have Texas, and you still have Houston. So that they're neck and neck in that division. So um, that's still up in the air. And as Brendan points out, Milwaukee, really, really good football
Yeah,
baseball
they were.
team. But Milwaukee's one of those teams that sometimes you just wonder, like they have the same kind of black cloud over them. They've had really, really good teams and they've never won a World Series. And but I'm kind of pulling for them. I like them. I like Murphy as the manager, fiery guy, and but they're a good team to be reckoned with. And I guess the only other division that's up in the air is the National League West, and it's really a two-man race between San Diego and Los Angeles. And if you look on paper, it looks like they're equal, but until the Padres can start winning, I'm going to stick with the Dodgers to win that division, even though it's like only 2 games right now. So
Absolutely.
kind of love the last 2 weeks of the
It's
season.
always exciting to see, and it brings you a hope. Like, does your team have potential to win the World Series, and how is it going to be the rest of the way? Should be
Yeah.
exciting to see. Let's talk about the WNBA real quick as the playoffs begin tomorrow. And it's an exciting stretch to the championship, and we got our final 8 teams locked up and ready to go. And now to remind everybody about the playoffs, they're on ABC and ESPN. And it starts off with round 1, a best of 3 game series, only 3 games. First to 2 wins. Then you have to round 2. You have best of 5 games and the championship to finals. They're now expanding from a best of 5 game series to now a best of 7 game series. So that's pretty exciting news for WNBA fans that you have now an extended season, as you will. You look at the games and the matchups and who's playing. Golden State and Minnesota, as we talked about. Golden State is this team, a brand new team in the league. They're first year in, and they're in the playoffs already. So they got some potential here, but they play a tough Minnesota team tomorrow. That's the opening game at 1 o'clock. Their next game would be on Wednesday. Indiana's in it, but no Caitlin Clark, and they take on a very tough Atlanta team. And that game is tomorrow, 3 o'clock on ABC. Next game on Tuesday. Then your next game, New York. They're taking on Phoenix tomorrow in game 2. Game 2 is on Wednesday. And the final game, 10 o'clock on ESPN. Seattle, Las Vegas. That next game will be on Tuesday. Now I'm going to make my 4 picks, as you will, to see who's going to advance to the next round. I'm going to give my picks. I'm going to obviously go in New York. I have to go in New York. I'm going to go with Atlanta. I'm going with Minnesota. And I'm going to go with Las Vegas to be your winners for the first round of play. So I'm going with Minnesota, Atlanta, New York, and Las Vegas as my 4 teams that move on to the next round. So good luck and let the playoff fun begin in the WNBA.
I know, and it's really hard for me to get excited about the
I'm excited. I'm
WNBA.
pumped. I'm done with my shift at 5 o'clock tomorrow from work, so I'm gonna be watching that Liberty game.
I know you are. I know you like it, and I'm all for women's sports too. But I just something about it. I just can't get overly excited, especially with all the college football, the NFL, and
Well,
Major
not
League
on Tuesday.
Baseball.
Not on Tuesday. So
All right, we'll see.
right. Well, it's now time, I think, for some random points of interest, and that is going to be sponsored by Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut.
Yes, and Eli, let's not forget. I mean, we do have
Well, yeah, let's talk
football.
about that. I forgot.
We have baseball. We have also
The US
remember
Open.
the Ryder Cup is coming up. You know,
Yes.
in 2 weeks
Let's go with that
at
first.
Bethpage, and that's always an exciting thing. I mean,
Yeah.
right now all the majors are done and the FedEx Cup is done, but that's a great time to have a Ryder Cup, and you know, it's a really really intense rivalry, and I'm looking forward to it. And I hope Keegan Bradley can bring the trophy back to the U.S. and we're gonna see. But that starts not this coming weekend, but the weekend after.
Right after. Yep.
Awesome.
And let's go to the US Open. Let's recap that real quick before we go to random points.
Oh yes.
That was pretty some exciting stuff. And once again, Alcaraz, king for the men's, and Sabalenka for the women.
Yeah. Well, we kind of figured that where the women's thing was going to end up, and it did. But like I said, we talked about Novak and so forth, and he gave it his all. He got to the semis, but
Yeah, he did.
Alcaraz, and when I watch Carlos Alcaraz, and again, remember, he's only 22 years old, and he's got 6 major titles already. I mean, you got to give this. He's one of the most, and I've been watching tennis my whole life.
Yeah.
He is one of the most athletic guys I've ever seen.
Absolutely. It's really amazing.
Yeah.
Let's go to some random points now, I think.
Hold on, I got a couple more.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
So there's a big game in Yankee Stadium this weekend, actually.
Oh, that's right. And it's the Savannah Bananas.
And I believe my daughter and my son-in-law are taking the kids. They were lucky enough to win some sort of a lottery to get the tickets.
Wow. And they didn't invite Uncle Jim?
No, they didn't have enough tickets. That's all right. Well. But this is like the phenomenon we've been talking about, the Savannah Bananas, but playing and selling out Yankee Stadium, kind of cool.
Hey, the Yankees can't even sell Yankee Stadium on a normal regular season day. To do that, that's something special.
Right.
And you look at that too. They made a lot of TV appearances too. They were on the Today with Jenna and Friends show, and they were also on Fallon this week. So they really are making a name for themselves on television as well.
And this guy that owns the Savannah Bananas, he's quite the entrepreneur. He's making a Savannah Bananas league. You know, right now it's just the other guys are the Washington Generals against the Globetrotters kind of thing.
Type thing, but they're losing though too. It's not like it's like fake like the Harlem Globetrotters. They're losing games.
An unbelievable. There's apparently a wait list of 3 million people in lotteries to go see these games.
It's like getting really Hamilton tickets when the original cast was on. It was impossible to get those Hamilton tickets, and now it's impossible to get Savannah Banana tickets. It's really amazing. Really and by the way, I believe their games are on True TV this weekend. So if you're bored from the football, you got True TV to watch some of those Savannah Banana games that are in Yankee Stadium.
But how cool is it that they're playing in Yankee Stadium? That should be
I think that's awesome. And to sell it out, that's even special.
Eli, even though we don't talk about boxing a lot because there's really not a lot to talk about, but there is a big fight this weekend with Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, and it's kind of one of the if I could name 5 boxers in today's game,
I couldn't.
Those would be 2 of the guys that I could bring up, and I've seen Alvarez, couple of his fights, tough as nails. This should be a good. Listen, boxing is kind of losing the game, losing the war against UFC and all that stuff. But this is a competitive match, and I'm going to go
Absolutely.
with Alvarez in this one.
Ooh, I would have to go the same.
Okay, Eli. So also, as you know, and I believe your team, St. Mary's, is in action today as well. But
No, they
St.
played
Joe's,
yesterday.
they did. How'd they do?
Well, we're 0-3. Let's
We're
start
on
with
to it.
yeah. Right. It's not looking like a good season. I think it's from what I saw, and I saw some of the highlights yesterday from the game. It just seems like a very young team with a lot of issues that they should be having spots filled for.
Yeah. Well, they play some competitive teams.
They
So
did, but I mean, you have a team like Woodridge yesterday, which it was close at a point, and you couldn't win
yeah.
that one. I mean, that kind of shows like you can only win against. I hate to use a cupcake term, but cupcake
Yeah.
team.
But this is, so the big three, if you will, St. Joe's,
Oh
Don
well, I mean,
Bosco,
of course,
Bergen Catholic.
that's football right there.
Yeah. So today, St. Joe's has their home opener against Cardinal Hayes from the Bronx. So that should be a decent football game to watch. But St. Joe, Don Bosco, you know who the quarterback of the Don Bosco team is now?
What didn't you say it was like the one guy from the Giants?
Yeah, Joe
Yeah,
Shane's
Joe
son.
Shane,
Yeah,
yeah.
Joe Shane's son.
I didn't like that. And I
So
just gotta say, I was on the call for the Bergen Stars game last week
oh
for
yeah,
the PA announcing. We were at Bosco. I gotta be honest with you. I like that stadium a lot better than St. Joe's. I'm gonna be quite honest with you. I hate
really?
I hate to be that guy,
You
but
are that guy now.
I know. Well, but I honestly did it. The bleachers were pretty huge and like almost like an NFL stadium style. The press box was very nice and big, and it was very nice. The stadium in itself was nice. They had big sponsorships everywhere. I kind of liked it a lot better. I'll be quite
I
honest
know,
with you.
but parking is tough there.
Oh
Parking is
no, it
tough.
wasn't. It was pretty good
Really?
at Bosco. There was a lot of parking when I went there.
All right. Well, but just so you know, I played on that field several times myself.
I'm
So,
sure. But yeah,
yeah.
I kind of liked it a lot better. I don't know. Sorry
Okay.
about that. I know you're St. Joe's guy, but
Go ahead.
I think
Go
my
ahead.
favorite
Do
New
your
Jersey
Randy.
team. All right. Well, the WWE announced that their WrestleMania will be heading to Saudi Arabia in 2027, the first time outside of the U.S.
Good riddance.
First, Cracker Barrel revokes its new logo. Now the company says it will no longer be remodeling its stores, as if it hasn't been touched, it won't be touched. They heard all the backlash, so
Well,
seems like
this
the bullying on social media works, as you will.
apparently, yeah, but you have to think about, who made those decisions for Crackle Barrel. You don't, if it ain't broke, you don't fix
Don't
it.
fix it.
And
Hey,
now,
they touched the wrong thing.
but they're cutting their losses off and saying we made a mistake, so it'll be back. And I like Crackle Barrel myself. So.
Oh, me too. Longtime Chiefs PA announcer Dale Carter announces that he'll be leaving the Chiefs due to multiple factors, including the Chiefs wanting things in a specific way, a report has shown.
Mm, okay.
Marc Andre Fleury has signed a tryout agreement with the Penguins to allow him to play some parts of the preseason game on September 26th and to keep the title that you are now a Pittsburgh Penguin for life, as you will.
Well, and that's pretty cool because he won some Stanley Cups there, and the next stop for him is Hall of Fame. So,
Absolutely.
cool.
The NHL draft will take place next year on June 26th to 27th. And Ian Rappaport will be the insider reporter for Prime Video's NFL pregame coverage going forward, in addition to his regular NFL Network reporting.
Mm.
ESPN extends Pardon the Interruption through 2028, a fantastic show. I think one of the best that they have on ESPN. So glad that they got extended. Pix 11 New York will continue to carry Mets games through 2028 and has expanded to more parts of upstate New York as well. On TV this week, you have Dancing with the Stars return on ABC on Tuesday. Tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, you have the Emmys on CBS. Monday night on Fox is the return of Name That Tune and The Weakest Link. And The Weakest Link finds its new home. It was once on NBC, now it goes to Fox. I love watching The Weakest Link because I think that Jane's funny. I think just calling people out for no reason is awesome, and it gives me a good laugh every time.
I think I'd rather watch WNBA than The Weakest Link.
All right, hopefully you do check that out then. If you watched the VMAs last week, it was a great show. The Ozzy Osbourne tribute was fantastic and awesome. I think it gave some good life to the show. Lady Gaga took home 4 wins, including Artist of the Year. Ariana Grande took home 3 awards, including Video of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
And Sabrina Carpenter, she took home 3 awards, including Best Album, and a big viewership jump to 5.5 million views when it moved to CBS this past Sunday. So very good show indeed.
Okay. Okay.
All right, and now it's time for some photos and food. That is sponsored by Vital Selection. Scan the QR code to learn more. What's our pick for food this week, Jim?
Oh, but we neglected to say that our random points was sponsored by Lynch
By Lynch.
Toyota.
I did mention it, but yeah, Lynch Toyota.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's stick, and again, it doesn't have, we're not always going to do it. We could pick a recommendation for whatever we choose. But this week, it's hot dogs. And
Ooh.
so I started to wonder because I went to this place up by me, Jersey Johnny's, which is good, but their burgers are even better than the hot dogs.
Ooh.
But I think, and there's one right around the corner from you, Hiram's.
Hiram's, of course, yes.
They
Yes.
are definitely up there.
Up
But I
there.
would say my favorite hot dogs is the Windmill, which is in Long Branch, New Jersey. Tiny
Ooh.
little place. Great hot dogs there. I'm going with the Windmill is my favorite hot dog.
Well, yeah, but Hiram's is good too. It's right around the corner
It's
from me.
very good. Very good.
Another place I love, Hot Grill in Clifton. Oh,
Yeah, we've done that too.
I love Hot Grill. The hot dogs, the cheese fry. Oh man,
Yeah, pretty
that's
good.
the place I always go to. And my other recommendation I had for the week that was non hot dogs was Moe's Southwest Grill. I'm more of a Moe's guy than Chipotle, so I can go. I'm probably going there right after the show ends. So
All right, good for that.
recommendation.
Good for that.
We only got one photo this week, so let's take a look.
Yes, and we're sticking with the theme of football, and that's my grandson. You watch the development. I put a picture of him in his uniform every year, and now, he's 11 years old, and it's getting more and more competitive. And I'm just so proud of him that he plays. This kid plays bad, and he had the game on Saturday, and then he had a baseball game on Sunday. I don't know, and he's a great student.
Wait,
But this
is this for a town team or like an AAU style? Like
Yeah, no, this is for the Twinborough, I think the Twinborough Patriots, which is
okay, so it's a town team.
Chester Mendham. So the game was out in Long Valley. It was
Yeah.
And they were down for most of the game, but came back and won. But it's great to watch these little kids develop year after year. I love it. I love it.
Wow, that is awesome. But unfortunately, we do have some notable passings this week. I'll let you start off, Jim.
Okay. Yeah, and again, politics aside, I mean, Charlie
100%.
Kirk, obviously we've talked about that, but it's just a tragedy. Either way, no matter what side of the aisle you're on, seeing something like that on TV is just horrifying.
It's horrible.
But anyway, Davey Johnson, he was the manager of the '86 Mets that won the World Series. And by the way, Davey Johnson was actually a damn good baseball player as well for the Baltimore Orioles. I think one year he hit over 40 home runs from second base, which was back then almost unheard of. So he was 82 years old. And like I said, he was the manager of that '86 team. And yeah, you could say, it was the Bill Buckner game and whatever, but they did win that series, give him credit. Went on to manage a couple other teams, but Davey Johnson passed away 82 years old. From the world of entertainment, Rick Davies from the band Supertramp passed away, and he was 81. And Supertramp was a big band back in the 70s and 80s, and he was one of the founding members. Wrote most of their big songs, "Bloody Well Right" and "Logical Song," all those kind of things. But that was, that's notable from a music perspective. And Polly Holiday.
Yeah.
You may not know Polly Holiday, 88 years old, but she was part of one of the most popular shows of its generation back in the 70s. Was Alice. She played the crazy wisecracking waitress, but she was 88 years old.
I got one more.
I got one more.
Okay.
And this is a tough pronunciation, but it was Tiana Mangahia, 30, from Syracuse, was a All-American basketball player at Syracuse, and played in Europe and Russia and so forth. And but unfortunately, she was diagnosed with cancer, kind of derailed her career, and she succumbed at age 30 this past week. So all of our thoughts go to her family and the University of Syracuse.
Yep, and you had that one. That was my last notable passing, so you got it covered for this week. But
Wow.
overall, though, what a great show. We appreciate everybody for commenting, for staying with us, and for tuning in. And we'll be back
Yep.
again next week at 10 o'clock right here on Sports with Mano and Mano.
Yes. And of course, send us your recommendations for anything and whatever that is. But, I'm really, really excited that, I got we mentioned one of our loyal listeners, Alvin, a couple weeks ago, and Alvin sent me just a wonderful text message this morning. And like I said, we love our loyal listeners. And also, just a quick note: good luck to my young friend Derek Krug, who um, starting a new position in New York City in his young career this week.
Wow.
And he was my neighbor for 2 years, and we talked a lot a bit about sports and so forth. And he's a big Indiana Hoosier fan, which should make Tom Pugh happy. Um, but I wish him all the luck in the world, and I'll miss sitting next to him. So good luck, Derek.
Absolutely.
And of course, send us an email at sportswithmano@gmail.com. And Eli, like I said, you did a great job. We were on the verge of having to cancel last week's show, but you pulled it together, and that was a great job.
Appreciate it.
So everybody, enjoy your week, and
Enjoy the
go
football.
St. Joe's, and enjoy the games. And I fully expect to be back on top with
No,
the
no, 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 no.
NFL.
That's mine. I'm keeping that one for as long as I can. I got to win this year.
Okay, good luck.
Good
Long way
luck.
to go.
All right. All right.
See
Have
you
a great
guys
week,
next
everyone.
week.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Okay, bye.